Welcome to Quiltology, brought to you by Fabric Editions to help you learn basic quilting concepts that will jumpstart your quilting experience. Today's lesson will show you ways to add designer fashion elements to your bags. Using color and design elements can make a simple project look high fashion. We will demonstrate several unique features today using the Quiltology Alyssa Bag. The bow feature on the front of the bag creates a decorative touch. And the removable tie adds variety, so you can change it out for a different look. Let's see how easy it is to make a bow. For this bag, the bow is made from a 10.5 by 18.5 inch piece of fabric. It's folded in half lengthwise with the right sides together. You will then sew a 1/4 inch seam down the length of the fabric. The next step is to reverse your fabric so the right side is showing and center your seam on the back and go ahead and press. Next, you will do a gathering stitch in the center, actually 2 of them, to gather your bow. And a gathering stitch is the longest stitch on your machine. It does not have to be completely in the center, but close to the center. And make sure to leave some tails so you'll be able to gather your fabric into a perfect bow. Next, holding the bobbin thread, you will gather your bow together. And it's always nice to do 2 rows of gathering stitches in case one would break. Now your bow is completed. And we will start the knot that will cover up your gathering stitches. To make the knot, you take a 4.5 inch square of fabric, fold it with right sides together, and just like the bow, do a 1/4 inch seam down the length of the fabric. Go ahead and reverse, just like the bow, so the right sides will be on the outside. Press your seam to the back. Now for this, we will take the raw edges, fold it in half, and sew the raw edges with a 1/4 inch seam. Go ahead and trim all your threads. Once again, you take your seam, center it on the back, and press. Now you will have your knot, and you can slide your bow into your knot, and your bow is now ready to be added to your bag. You should have your bag front already constructed, and you simply pin on the bow to the front of the bag. To secure the bow in place, you will take your knot, make sure it is centered within your purse, and stitch a little bitty strip right down the edge of your fabric. And you want to do this to the top as well as the bottom. While you're sewing, make sure your bow is out of the way. And now the front of your bag has a designer element and it's ready to be constructed. I'm now going to show you how to make the optional bow tails. And this gives you a different look. The first step is to take a piece of fabric 6.5 by 22 inches long. Fold it in half, right sides together, and with a ruler that has a 45-degree angle, you will go ahead and trim your ends. Next, you may want to take a few pins and go ahead and pin your tails together to prevent them from sliding when you sew. And just continue to sew at a 1/4 inch all the way to the end. When you get to the corner, you can leave your needle in to go ahead and pivot. So I'm just moving my needle down, raising my presser foot, twisting the fabric at an angle so I can keep that 1/4 inch. You get it reversed. You'll go ahead and give it a press, and you'll have both ends done, and you will stitch your opening closed. And you can add it to your Alyssa bag to give it that special designer look. We have added another fashion technique to the handles. When constructing the handles, simply add a piece of contrasting fabric to the center and continue with the construction according to the instructions. The length of the contrasting fabric can be adjusted to change the length of your handles. The last technique is a faux binding, and this was applied to the top of the pocket in the back. The pocket is constructed with the floral and contrasting turquoise fabric. You cut your turquoise fabric a ½ an inch larger than your floral fabric. When you place the seams together and you stitch a ½ an inch seam, you then match the raw edges and press, and you will end up with a perfect faux binding. As you create your own projects, one way to think outside the box is to go shopping and study ready-made handbags. You can find all kinds of ideas for adding small personalized touches to make your own fashion statement.